You're listening to the Current Plays Podcast, Season 3, Episode 1, The Lost Ruins of Arnak. Now please welcome your hosts, Jordan and Thomas. And welcome back to the Current Plays Podcast. We've been on hiatus for over a year now, or just about a year. Anyway, it's been a while.
Season 3.
Season 3. So, yeah, for just as a quick explanation of where we went, things got busy, and as some of you longtime listeners would know, I'm renovating my basement, and at the time, my basement was torn apart. I got displaced upstairs. It was very not conducive to recording a podcast, and things got hectic, and Thomas and I weren't really jiving with the long format of the podcast. So, and again, things got hectic, and we just kind of decided, all right, let's pump the brakes, cool it down, take care of life, and maybe come back to this. And we recently decided, yeah, let's come back to this. So we're trying again with a shorter format, and let's see how it goes.
We like doing it, right? So
I think we both
and we
missed
like
it.
to be creative as well. So it's a good creative outlet. Yeah, we both missed it for sure. Yeah. So let's jump in.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Oh, and I guess we'll likely be releasing this as a video on YouTube as well. So that's another avenue that the listeners and I guess watchers now potentially can find us. And this will be very little editing, maybe cutting off the top and the bottom, and it's just going to be us. And if I stumble on words, which I tend to do, then it's going in. Yeah, we're just
Yep.
we're trying to keep it simple. We're trying to keep it kind of I don't want to say off the cuff, but off the cuff.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big issues for me in particular was I was editing everything, and it was taking a lot of work.
Yeah.
And when you're already working a full-time job and renovations on top of that and trying to raise two crazy kids,
Hmm.
yeah, it was a lot. I mean, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not,
yeah.
yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so this is it. So you're gonna get what you get. But you know what? I say that jokingly. It's still gonna be fun, and I really think because even when we do stumble on words, who cares? Like it's not. I don't think that's the. It'll be fun. Let's
It'll
have
be
fun.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been, I mean, it's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
Uh, so the board game industry is in a weird place right now.
Yeah.
Tariffs, and all that have really impacted things. Publishers that we talk about all the time have gone under and have disappeared now, which is bananas. Um, a lot of good games have come out, a lot of them that we've played and would love to talk to you guys about. But we'll see. We'll probably have to replay those games, like Vantage and Legends of
Yeah.
the or Tales of the Arthurian Knights have been some good ones. We almost started a campaign of Earthborn Rangers. Uh,
Yeah, that one's my fault. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Eterna, man, it's been a lot
Yeah, we
of.
got a lot. Yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah, there's
tonight we're going to talk about Lost Ruins of Arnak. Um,
yeah, so we had and this is going to be the thing. We've talked about Ruins of Arnak before. But we're going to jump right back in, talk about our play. We played it a few nights ago. Um yeah, and we'll just kind of, jump in there. I did take some notes, so I'm going to be kind of referring to my notes, but I'll quickly go through them because like we said, shorter style podcast now that we're moving forward.
mhm.
So Lost Ruins of Arnak. Quick overview.
Well,
You
let's
are,
say publisher CGE,
yep,
designers Min and Elwin. And yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. So you play as archaeologists exploring the lost civilization in the ruins of Arnak, and essentially there's your thematics to it. This is a deck builder. It's a worker placement, a track movements because you are moving up a research track, and multi-use cards. So there's your main sort of, these are the things that are in that game, and we'll kind of dive in a bit on how that gets used. So what we did the other day, actually, we got out two of the expansions. So Expedition Leaders and Missing Expedition, and we started the co-op campaign for the
yes.
Missing Expedition expansion. Now, if you've listened to the co-op or the podcast before, you understand that I typically do not like co-op games. I'm very competitive, so working together. What is this? Yeah, a little bit. But I really want to get this. I wanted to try it, and I for whatever reason I came down with some sort of sickness that was like, yeah, we should play on the same side and see how this goes. And I gotta say, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a different experience, right? We've played it a few times at least competitively, and you always seem to wipe the floor with me. It's this whole deck building business that your brain puts together much better than mine does. So it was nice to play with you rather than against you in this sense. Yeah, and the way it's set up, the campaign. So what I kind of want to focus on is the fun we had playing this, but kind of what the expansions bring. So first off, base game, I explained it quickly there, what sort of mechanics is broken down into the game. So you really are you're building this deck of cards, you're adding items, you're adding artifacts to this deck to help you do various things on the board in the theme of being archaeologists, right? So you're moving up this research track, learning more about this land of Arnak. And the base game just sort of gives you off, you start with a starting deck for the deck building aspect of it. It's very similar to most deck building games where you start off with, X amount of cards that are fairly useless as you get progress into the game, right? So usually in deck builders, you want to like cull those cards out of your deck during the game. Well, Expedition Leaders kind of changes that up where it adds in this leader aspect where you take the role as one of the leaders on this expedition, and it gives you this kind of asymmetric player base power kind of thing, right? So you're playing to the strengths of this character, and with that comes its own sort of starting hand that you begin with. And I found, and I don't know if you found this too, but this game, there's not a lot of like removal of cards from your deck. So having those base cards in your hand kind of hampers you in the base game. But as soon as you get these leaders, those base cards that come with each individual leaders, they work so well mechanically with the leader powers that you don't want to get rid of those. You always like to pull those because you're like, yeah, this is going to let me work the engine of my leader, right?
Yeah,
In our
exactly.
specific game, yeah, you were the falconer and I was the mechanic, and the mechanic, yeah, has specific cards that allow the mechanic's whole thing is this gear module to turn this gear and really take use of that gear mechanic. So if I didn't have those in the deck, the mechanic wouldn't play as well. So it's like and I really like that the whole thing with this mechanic is you're trying to progress that gear. So you want to find those base cards you have, which means you're probably trying to get cards into your deck that allow you to draw. That way you can always draw into those gears and do extra stuff with the gears. And I find that's really, really neat with the mechanic sort of setup there. So yeah, really enjoy that. That's the expedition leaders that adds that. I don't know. Did you want to talk about your leader a bit there, Jordan, as well? I don't know if that was
Sure.
on your
Yeah, I
radar to
mean,
talk about.
same thing. So one of the cards that the Falconer gets is the same as like the base card, right? It's just
Yeah.
you get 1 gold. But then the other card uh plays into their asymmetric power again, like you said, from the mechanic, right? So the Falconer has this 4-stage track where you've got this little Falcon token and it moves up those 4 stages. And depending on how far you get when you trigger the effect, and you can trigger the effect, at will kind of thing, it will give you better and better rewards. So the first reward is 1 gold. The second reward is a tablet and an airplane movement, which, if you have never played before, basically that's what lets you go out onto the board and use like worker spaces, right? So action spaces. Uh, so they're very important, and the tablets are a premium resource, so they're important as well. Now, the third and fourth spots lets you activate an entire like worker action space. One of the more advanced ones. So there's 3 different tiers in this game. There's base camp, which is the like low level action spots, and then you have to unlock level 1 and level 2 action spots, and that represents you moving deeper and deeper into the island. So just on the at base level, you move your Falcon 1 spot on the track once every round. Well, there's only 5 rounds in the game. If there's 4 spots on the track, if that's all you're doing, you're not making use of her power. So one of the cards lets you either gain a compass, which is a basic resource, or move up this Falcon track. And so that can become quite useful and very lucrative to push it up. And now you're activating these spaces, which are giving you a bunch of different resources. So yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, yeah. I really like what the Expedition Leaders expansion adds to the game, because base game, like I did mention, it's worker placement. It's part of the game. The main mechanic is obviously that deck building, but you only get 2 workers to place, right?
Yeah,
So
it's not much.
yeah, it's not much. And then when you're also juggling that hand management of those cards, because I also mentioned multi-use cards. Well, those cards are going to be used for either whatever action they give you on the card, or for some sort of movement, right? So Jordan mentioned you're moving to those sites, those different levels of sites, which require different levels of movement, right? So you might be discarding a card to move. So you're to get to a location. A, you need a worker, and B, you need some sort of transportation to that location, right? So that's a card and a worker used up, and you only get 2 workers. 2 cards, 2 workers. Theoretically, that's the cost that it's going to cost you, right? Now with the Falconer, yeah, having that access to, okay, I've placed out my 2 workers, but now I can also use the Falcon and I can take another action on one of those. That's like having a third worker and turn, across the
Hmm.
board. Because the other thing is you're playing turns, so you're okay. I go, you go, I go, you go, ignoring the AI opponent kind of thing. But yeah, it's back and forth. And once you run out of things to do, it's okay, well, I pass and that's it. So adding that extra thing
And then your
to do
opponents
gives
can
you
keep going, right?
exactly, your opponents can
Yeah.
keep going and they're having, oh, okay, you're done. Well, okay, I take this turn and then I take this turn and then I take this. So adding on to that, so you have extra things and able to, sometimes it comes down to timing. I don't want to I want this, but I don't want to take it now. But if they take it first, then I miss out on it, right? So having that, sometimes the timing aspects of it, when you can have to make that play versus, okay, I can hold off, and having the ability to wait by doing other actions can be helpful, right? So yeah, that's
Yeah,
I
and
yeah.
the activating the spots, you can activate a spot that is blocked by somebody else's worker or even your own worker, right? Which that's huge.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it comes down to there's a spot that you absolutely need. and it's the only spot of its kind. It's the only way to get, X resource in a useful way or an
Hmm.
efficient way. So having access to that, even if it's taken, that's a huge boon, right? So yeah, that expansion really adds to the kind of more of the goodness of the base game and more things to do, right? Now, Missing Expedition, what we did play, adds that campaign level, whether it's solo or co-op as well. And how that looks really is you have this sort of bot player that has flippable cards that essentially it's each turn you're going to flip over one of these cards, these cardboard chip thingies or whatever card stock. You'll flip it over and do the action it tells you to do. It's going to block spots. It's going to do research. It's going to blah blah blah, whatever it's going to do, right? And then you're basically competing against that from a point perspective. But that's not only the aspect. That's only a small part of it. Generally, with how the campaign works, is you'll have some sort of goal you have to complete. And that's really cool. So I'll talk a bit about our actual campaign too that we started the other day. Because it's the first level, so it's not really a spoiler. Um, but essentially what happens is you set up the game how you typically would to play, but then you change up the campaign aspect changes up some of the base rules where instead of setting the board up exactly how you would do it in a competitive game, you take the research track, you remove a bunch of, rewards from the research track on that first level setup, right? So now it costs to move up on the research and you're only getting some of the benefits rather than the full benefits that you typically would get in the base game, right? So that's a bit of a change. But then in the first scenario, we just get to Arnak. We're trying to move up the mountain kind of into this secondary stages. So this scenario added on a two main things. The first was we needed to explore more locations than typically you would do in a normal play.
For sure.
And then you had to move up the track, which is often how you have to do it. But there was complications to that. So there was fog on the research track that we needed to explore locations and then spend resources to move that fog up the mountain before we could actually move up that track. So it was I felt that was a really neat aspect for the co-op that we needed to work together to be able to, find the locations, like look, do our exploration together, because not one player couldn't carry it all and then
Yeah, no
still
way.
move up the track, right?
Yeah.
And then B, we had to work together to move that fog up because again, one player couldn't do it all on their own, right? So that was a neat aspect where it almost forces you to play that word, but in a way that's fun, right? So
Right.
I've played games, and often I've played games with solo modes that you'll play and you have to play in weird ways to make the solo work. And it just ruins the experience because you're like, why would I do this? This is dumb, right? In this case, though, you're like, I don't want to do this, but I have to do it. But it feels good after I do it and I complete it. Like we've solved the puzzle to move this fog up, or do whatever, right? Find these extra locations in order to be able to move the fog up, right? So
Right.
that extra like thing we had to work around was really neat. And I found like near the end, we just sort of passed and it was the
Yeah.
first scenario, right? And then we had a few kind of like turns of the last round. Like we completed the objective we needed to complete on the last round. And then we had a few turns on the last round to just like try and prop up our score a bit. So
Yeah, not many.
Not many. Yeah,
Like we
yeah,
couldn't get it up much, and
yeah.
we gotta just squeak through. It was
Right.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
like yeah, and that's the thing. So either A, like what you have to do is complete whatever objective the scenario gives you. So okay, so I have to pass this scenario. We just fail. So we did that. We worked
Yeah.
in and it's reaching, so high up this research track.
I
I don't know
was
how we did
really,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I remember it was because we've talked about this game before where, you round like one, even two, you're like, how are we going to do this? Like, how am I possibly going to get up the research track? But then by round three, you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
now I've got things in place. Now I see it'll for this one, it was even round three, even round four. I was like, there's no way. There's no way we're going to do this. We just can't do it all. But
Yeah.
somehow in round five, we managed to like, I think even starting round five, I was like, we can't do it. We just don't have enough resources. And somehow we
Yeah.
pulled it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. Round three, I felt the tilt where it was like, okay, I feel like we're going to do this, but it was an optimistic feeling rather than anything based on actual how the board looked, right? It was like, no, no, we're building good. We're gonna figure it out. Yeah, that so there was no the looking at the board, if you were an outsider looking, you'd be like, nah, you guys are done, right? Yeah, there's no way. But I was like, no, I feel like our characters are developing nicely,
Yeah.
and whatnot, right? So that felt like I had that feeling. But then like, yeah, end of round four, it was like, oh my goodness, we got a lot of work to do on
Yeah.
round five, or else we're just done.
I was mathing it out, right? And without giving too much
Yes,
away,
yeah,
we
yeah.
had to explore 10 different locations. Like so first round, we're looking at the thing going, okay, we need to move this thing up 5 times. You need 2 locations per time. So that's 10 locations. And at the end of round one, like we managed to explore 1 time. And
Yeah,
then we're
yeah,
like, okay, round two, we got to do at least 2 per round, and we got to make up for the one we didn't do.
yeah.
And we were barely getting the two in. So I
It
was like, there's no way that we can't do it. But
and it stayed with us like yeah, that first one we did one location. We should have done two.
yep,
Should have, right? But
right.
yeah, it stayed with us every single round. We're one
Yep,
behind. We're one behind. Round five, it was like we have to make up for that one behind for round one, right?
yep.
And we managed it. But yeah, and that's the thing too. So you only have, like Jordan said, we had to do 10 sites. There's only 8 level 1 sites, right? So you have to do at least 2 level 2 sites, right? There's 4 level 2 sites. We did two, so we did the bare
Bare
minimum of the
minimum.
level
Yep.
two, but the level two just costs so much more resources
Yeah.
to discover, right? Yeah, they pay out reward wise more, but here's the tricky part about this too, is that you don't know what rewards are going to be on the site. So if you flip a site and the rewards are just, I don't want to say trash because there's never going to be trash for
But
getting resources,
not what you need at the
but not
time.
what you need at the time,
Yeah.
you're behind, right? Like it's, oh no, how can I, yeah, how can I change this,
Yep.
right? And for whatever reason, I felt like we still managed it in a way that like at the end, I think I only had like 2 resources left over that I had like a coin and maybe a tablet or something. So it wasn't like a
I think,
massive waste of resources or anything.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you
I
have?
think I had like one compass and that was
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So like we ended up pretty like down to the wire with the resources, which was good. We didn't have a lot of waste, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it was exciting right to the end. And so, you reach that objective, you automatically pass. But then I mentioned about the scoring. So this because it's a kind of like a story campaign, you're playing against that sort of rival AI, and you're from I believe there's 5 or 6 different scenarios. So as you work through 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 through those scenarios, you're keeping an overall sort of campaign score log. And then at the end of that, if I remember correctly, because I played it solo, your expedition will score a different story passage, depending on how
Okay.
well you do, right? So if you're scoring a lot of points and your rival isn't doing so many points, then you're going to get, the higher level story kind of thing, like a better ending, I suppose, to the overall campaign, right? Um, and that's where first scenario we get in there, and like we said, it was hard. Like it felt tough. There was a lot we had to overcome to do that. And again, I played this solo and did much better in the solo, but even looking at it, I was like, this two-player co-op, like it it feels tougher than the solo was. Um, and then of course, I was just having fun, so I randomized our characters as well. Rather than when I played solo, I optimized what characters I played. So each one I read
Right.
the scenario, synopsis at the start, and then I'd go, you know what? I think this character would be good in this scenario, right? And then I pick a character that way. For us, I was like, whatever, just random. Here we go. Pick from the tokens, and then whoever you get, right? So we didn't go in with like an optimized team either. And so like by the time we finished, the way it works is you average your points between the two players, and then you compare that against the rival's score, right? We tied, right?
Yeah.
So I got 69 points. Jordan had 70 points. So, the
And the
rival had
rival had
70
70
points.
points. Yeah.
So 69 and a half average rounds to 70, 0 point difference. So
Yep.
right now, our story passage at the end of the game is going to be pretty sad. So we have 4 other scenarios or 5 other scenarios where we'd have to make up for that.
Yeah.
Um, assuming we play into the next scenario and we keep it going, because it typically, especially me to a degree, I'm terrible at. Like, yeah, let's do a campaign, and then we'll get 2 in, and then I'm like, well, there's this other game I want to play now. So
Lord of the Rings, Gloomhaven.
Jaws of the Lion. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, what we did a
Started a
few, I think
few.
we had like 2 or 4 games of like near and far. So like that,
Yeah, but that
right?
was all in one night.
That was all in one. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All of those I wanted to continue with, but
Yeah, 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 yeah. So this one
yeah.
I'm feeling positive. I
Well,
will, I will go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna just say I don't know if it's like I've been playing a lot of narrative games lately and really enjoying them, but I really enjoyed even just the small bit of narrative passages that they included in this campaign. Even though th- it's still Lost Ruins of Arnak, right? It's
Yeah.
still the same game, but they just you add that little bit of narrative to it, and it just kind of the theme of the game is really strong, and then you add that little narrative part to it, and it just brings it to life. Like the theme really
Yeah. Yeah.
Sean, the theme shined.
Shown. Yeah, Sean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know where you're going.
The
Yeah,
theme
yeah.
came through really strong when you added those narrative passages. It was cool.
Yeah, I agree. To the point where both of us were cursing the rival the
Yeah.
entire game.
Oh
Like we're
yeah.
like this, and we were, we used words. There was
Yep.
words to
There
describe.
were words.
But
Yep.
yeah, but yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, you get a set. Even the base game for this game, like, I don't I don't fully understand how it does this, because really, okay, you are it's a hand management and deck building game, so you're doing that. You are going to locations and whatnot, but when you break it all down, it's really a lot of abstract stuff, but
Mhm.
it still somehow feels thematic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but and I know I'm all over the place. It's a weird pull for this one for whatever reason for me for seeing how thematic it can be. When there's typically no story, like adding that story in this campaign is fantastic. Yeah, because the little snippets give you just enough juice kind of there that it really pulls that out, right? But even without like the story, if you're just paying a base too, um, just between what resources you're getting, like you're getting spearheads, which of course, if you talk about archaeology, oftentimes you're finding old spearheads and stuff like that, right? Because I'm an expert on that, so I would know. But yeah, and then like stone tablets and stuff, and gem, whatever, right? All the resources are very, thematic to a degree. You need coinage to pay for stuff. The
Funding
compasses
your
help you,
expedition. Yep. Yep.
yeah, explore the different locations and stuff. So it's you really get that sense even if you don't. And then like all the items and artifacts are very the artifacts are much more related to things that you're finding while you're exploring the island, right? And the game does a good way of, as you progress through the rounds, there's more artifacts on, let's say, on the buying side of things, so how
In the
then there are
market.
items
Yeah.
versus when you start off there's more items, because you're closer to kind of the shore and your packs and whatever, so the items are very thematic for, there's like Indy's hat is in there, right? I think it's just called some sort of hat. I don't know the name of it, but
Hmm.
it's clearly Indy's hat, right? But there's different things like that, right? So your items are very thematic too, but you can, half the time when you're really, especially when you're playing competitive, it's easy to ignore what you're buying. You're like, yeah, I want that hat because I'm looking at the ability only.
Right.
But I felt with the co-op portion, like there were some scenario cards too in there, and we'd pull the scenario card, we'd read it, and then we kind of like, the first decision that I got to make kind of thing. I was like, well, one portion of it, I'm like being friendly to our rival, and I feel like I can't do that because I'm so betrayed that I'm
Right.
just not going to take that option, right? I'm going to take the other one, right? So
Yeah,
the things like that it adds to that immersion almost, right?
for
So I
sure.
I, I like that for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're running up against the clock here. Any final thoughts on the Lost Expedition?
Yeah, it I love the base game for Lost Ruins of Arnak. The first time I played it, I was like, yeah, this game is right up my alley. I love the thematics of it. I think it's fantastic. And I hate to recommend going out and buying expansions right away for a game. But this one, it's always been a clear yes when an expansion comes out. And actually, both these expansions you have gifted me, because what I like, and that I'm, yeah, super open for more Lost Ruin stuff. There is another expansion. Well, we won't talk about I won't get into that, but these could, because we haven't touched it, so we'll just talk about these two. But if you have the ability, and what we've talked about sounds neat, yeah, if you pick up that base game and you like it, then those expansions just they're for me the perfect type of expansions where they give you more good stuff that you enjoy
Hmm.
with the base, right? So that base being so enjoyable, these expansions just made it the next level, right?
Yeah.
More of that enjoyment. The
And they don't
leaders are
like
great.
add a bunch of new rules or whatever. It's just
Exactly.
more good
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Leaders are great. And then this campaign, and I gotta say, like the scenarios progressively, they do different stuff that it makes it feel like an all new experience outside of the base stuff as well. That I thought it just adds a lot of value, and it's extremely fun, right? So yeah, that if you enjoy that sort of um, you know, worker placement to agree, but the deck building that is kind of I don't know how to explain it. It's not like a full on deck builder where you're really manipulating the deck, but you are to a degree, and then you're managing
Yeah.
that and the multi-use cards. Like this is
It's a
this is
small
a
deck.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
it's a
small
small deck.
deck.
You end up with a
Yeah.
small deck. Yeah. And I highly recommend this one. I said it before in our last episode. We focused on this one, but yeah, it's still a highly ranked game for me.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Season 3.
Season 3.
We'll carry this on, and
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see you next week for the next one.
Yeah. And give us some feedback. What you thought,
Yeah.
if this sort of format, jives with you. Yeah, that'd be great. Great to know for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing we definitely lacked in the previous seasons was feedback. So,
Yeah.
um please
Send it
reach
to
out
us.
to us, let us know.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Aaron. Good gaming. Good night.